What's up, guys? Erasable Crab here. Welcome back to another Bloons Card Storm video. Today we're going to be seeing if I can win a match without using any bloon cards. This challenge is not going to be easy. Workshop is a good map for it, however, because that means there's a chance we could get 4 tower cards in opening hand, or maybe like 2 tower cards, 2 power cards. Which, this actually looks like a pretty dang good loadout because we will be able to play the Dart Monkey immediately. And then we can play Mana Shield, instantly gain 70 shield. And then we can end our turn next turn early, play the Banana Farm, and be able to get a bunch of gold faster. But it looks like this Monotonia Miner strategy with Adora as the hero is the current meta. I could be wrong about that. I haven't really stayed up to date with Bloons Card Storm since, I want to say since Season 2 first started, which is ending soon. But we're going to play the Banana Farm and end it. So what we don't want to do, we don't want to get stuck with 8 bloon cards because we're not going to be able to play them. We're actually going to just end our turn here because I'd rather play the Super Monkey next turn than have the Jungle's Bounty Druid out now. But yeah, it definitely looks like these cards are the meta right now. And it looks like Adora is the best hero right now. But let's play this Super Monkey. And we don't need to gain health, but we can do damage to those yellows, so they won't do any damage to us. And hopefully this will be the game that I win, because this is my 4th time trying to record this just because I didn't get a win in the other ones, and they were already 20-minute videos, so I didn't want you guys to sit there through that just to see that I failed. But as I said in videos before, I don't cherry pick my videos. You guys are not seeing the absolute best of the best of me playing. If I lose this game, you'll see me lose this game. But whenever I do a challenge, I do want to show you guys a victory. So, you know, sometimes that might not be possible, but I'm not going to sit here and re-record this and re-record this and re-record this because because I don't win. But the reason why the previous 3 attempts failed was because the game audio was too high, even though I had it at the lowest it could possibly go. So you couldn't actually hear my voice, so that's why I decided to redo it. We're gonna replace this Dart Monkey here for a sniper. So that's why I decided to re-record it. I'm not taking multiple attempts, just so I can show you guys just wins in the video. If I happen to win 3 matches in a row, then I happen to win 3 matches in a row. If I don't, you guys will see that I lost some, which obviously nobody's perfect. You're not going to be able to win every single game every single time, but we can at least try, and sometimes that's all it takes. They're filling up their bloon track. I don't think we have any cards that do damage to all bloons. I think there might be one in the game, but I don't have it if it is in this deck. So let's heal our hero. A lot of damage coming at us. We're not going to be able to survive that. So, just to make this process go a little faster, I'm just going to surrender. That way we can get into the next game, next attempt faster, because there's absolutely nothing I can do against that. So, if, if they win, then they win. If they don't, then I'll win, obviously. But let's get rid of these pink balloons. Okay, that's actually pretty good, but it all depends on how our opponent plays. If our opponent is super aggressive, we're generally not going to win. If our opponent is very passive and they don't really play that much balloon cards and they play more towers, then that'll work out in our favor. Now we're going to end our turn there. Just make this go a little faster, but we got 2 balloon cards. That is the opposite of what we want. I want 2 tower cards because that would be the best, but let's at least get our sniper out. They're going to have their wizard over there. Looks like they're saving up for a card. We're going to play another sniper. It's overkill to do it this way, but this is the way we're going to do it just because, they're not being aggressive so far. Speaking of that, they're going to be aggressive now, but hopefully we'll get our defense out by that time. We don't need a heal. I'm not going to waste that because that would only draw 1 card, so let's attack that, get rid of it, end our turn, and then next turn we'll be able to play the Jungle's Bounty Druid and, maybe something else out of these 2. We definitely won't need this because unless they play pink balloons, which they don't have the gold to do that. So let's play this Jungle's Bounty Druid. We have enough where we could draw 2 cards, so we're actually going to do that. Some people may say, oh, that's a waste. I don't think so at all. I think in the circumstances we're in, it's 100% worth it. We're going to get rid of our Jungle's Bounty Druid because they don't want us regenning our lives. Which, I'm completely fine with it. It reloads every turn, but it only does 15 damage, so, we haven't taken any lives, so we're not going to need its healing capabilities right now. But, that's a risk you take when you play the Jungle's Bounty Druid that early in the game. But with that being said, we can't do anything here, so we're going to have to take 335 damage this turn. We'll be able to gain 100 of it back next turn, but we're not going to be able to get any other cards next turn because we won't be able to draw one at the beginning, so there's no other way for us to get those, but they quick readied that, so we're gonna be dead. So let's try this again, and hopefully we can get the win in this one. So we're just sitting here spinning on the versus screen. Doesn't surprise me at all. Bloons Card Storm has been doing that since release. It'll say no match found, retrying, and then it'll usually immediately find a match. I don't know why they're having so many issues. I don't know if it's like a server issue or if it's just there aren't as many players on. It is pretty late at night, so maybe as many players aren't on. I played this at like 2 in the morning one time, however, though. I had zero problems finding matches, obviously, because different time zones. And it seems I say this every time, but this looks like a decent starting hand. But even though it looks like that, obviously looks can be deceiving. So it's really great that we have a defender, because that'll help us out early game. And then we can play this sniper over here. We're going to end our turn because there's no balloons for us to attack. And we couldn't play anything else. But it looks like this guy has the same strategy. I think that's the meta right now. Let's play this crossbow. Basically, we're just going to try to defend absolutely everything. So we're hoping that this guy will not want to play a lot of moon cards. We're hoping that he'll play a lot of tower cards, power cards, but not do enough damage to kill us. We're actually going to play this Bloon Strike. Deal 50 damage to them. Let's do 80 damage to that. Attack shooter will be able to block the rest. Because it's 45. It'll take 2 shots, but that's okay. Because I'm not going to waste 45 on it. Leave it down to 5 and then essentially waste 40 damage. But let's see here. Let's play the Jungle's Bounty Druid. Gain 70 shield. Let's do as much damage as possible to this BFB. And this takes 2 rounds to reload. So typically it's not a good idea to attack with your defender because you want to have that to defend. What do you mean it takes 3? Oh, it takes 3 rounds to reload. Anyways, I think that'll still work out though. So, you know, if they're playing higher power cards like that, like Moabs, VFBs, and all that, as long as they don't get a bunch of them and group them all together, then it won't be a problem. But with that being said, let's play this triple shot. Play this supply drop. Of course, we only get bloon cards that we can't use. That's just how it's going today. Do as much damage to BSB as possible. It's not going great right now, but if we can get another tower card, then we'll be completely fine. Alright, a super monkey. That's pretty much the best we could have asked for. 95 damage per shot. And then we'll be able to get rid of that BFB and do a lot of damage to those ceramics. And our attack shooter will reload, and that will be able to block 180 damage with all 4 of its shots, which I'm okay with that happening. Of course, they're going to steal my super monkey. Who would have thought that? I can't use that card on anything because all of it's too powerful. Not even going to bother attacking that because our attack shooter can defend that. And I'd rather have damage for this Moab. Of course, they played pink balloons, did extra damage. Let's split that shot, do damage to both of those, get that, and their turn. But this match is not going as great as I would have hoped for. And of course, our hands full of bloon cards, so we can't do anything about that because there's no discard option. So I don't think we're going to be able to win this one. Of course they're going to steal our defender. Because why wouldn't they? Gonna do some damage to that, but we're gonna be dead to that, I'm pretty sure, because we don't have our defender. So I thought this would be the one that we win, but that does not look like it's gonna be the case. Of course, they're doing so much damage to all of our stuff that, they're going to be able to defend absolutely everything that we throw at them. And by we, I mean the card storm. So we'll have one final attempt in this video. And if I lose that one, then I've lost this challenge. We are going to stick with high finance if that's what our opponent wants. But since they're using Adora as their hero, they're probably using the current meta, which is those plutonium miners and all their subsidiaries, and then Adora as their hero, and then using the blood sacrifice ability. So that is not what we want to see. What we do like to see, however, is power cards and tower cards in our opening hand. I mean, they forfeited immediately. Technically, that counts as a dub. Let's give this one more real attempt, hopefully. Because I didn't do absolutely anything, but I did win without any bloon cards because I didn't play any cards in general. But if you know me, I don't like to count that. So let's try to do this one last time, completely legitimate. Alright, that's good. That's good. That is not good. But our plan here is probably going to be to take the banana farm and play that as early as possible, because I'm completely okay with taking this amount of damage, because we can just play the Jungle's Bounty Druid and we have enough bloon cards where, or not bloon cards, we have enough tower cards where we'll actually be okay. So let's get that out. Next turn we'll gain 5 gold. But I'm not even going to worry about that. I'd rather just play the Jungle's Bounty Druid and, just end my turn next turn. Because we're taking the 130 damage this turn, but they only have 70 next turn, so that's okay. So we're just going to end our turn immediately. Then we'll be able to play our Jungle's Bounty Druid. And I believe also the triple shot next turn, so that'll be good for us. Typically with a lot of card games, the more cards you draw, the better it is. But with Bloons Card Storm having 0 ability to discard, you can... Oh, we're actually going to play the crossbow. zero ability to discard, then there's no point in filling your hand up and then uh, not being able to play anything from it. But I think this will be the game that we win if we win legitimately, because we got a very good starting hand. We're gaining a lot of gold pretty fast too. And let's do damage to those blacks. 50 damage next turn, that's okay. We'll be able to regen it as long as they don't have a way to get rid of our Jungle's Bounty Druid. And I don't like the amount of bloon cards that are piling up in my hand, but I think we'll be okay, because I can at least play 2 cards next turn if they're both 3 costs. So let's play that. Let's play this. And then obviously split the shot to do damage to each of them, and then do more damage to the blues, because they're gonna come at us at the same time. So if this was being sent this turn, then I'd rather do damage to the blues and not feed them gold. But we got another Jungle's Bounty Druid, which we're actually gonna play. Actually, no, we'll keep that as our secret weapon. We'll only end up playing that if our opponent has a way to get rid of this one, or if we don't need the extra gold that the banana farm is giving us. So let's get that. That should get rid of all of those. And then let's play this. Let's attack with that. End our turn. Because we're at 500 lives, which is the max. So there's no point in us, playing another Jungle's Bounty Druid, getting rid of our banana farm, unless our hand gets full of bloon cards and we can only play that. Or if this one, or if they get rid of this one somehow. Alright, a defender. We're going to replace that banana farm with our defender. Obviously, we're going to split that shot, do 15 damage to the blues, get rid of them. That way we're only taking 50 damage, which should be easy to recover from. So, since we got the Jungle's Bounty Druid, we'll be able to regen, I believe, all of those lives. Well, 40 of them. So we'll take 10 lives, but I'm fine with that. Plus, if we play this and replace any of these, then obviously we'll be able to gain even more lives, because we'll use more gold. But it looks like our opponent, they might be using a starter deck, just because the cards they're playing are pretty low in power. Plutonium Cache, perfect. Which, let's do damage to that as much as we can with these. Split this shot. We'll leave the defender, and then we're actually going to replace this now and do 15 more damage to those yellows. But this is this looks like the Gwendolyn starter deck, just because the towers aren't the strongest, the balloons aren't the strongest, But with that said, they're not. It's not like they're doing bad, and there's nothing wrong with the starter decks. It's just, they're made for beginners. So if you're playing against someone like me, and if I was playing normally, since I have a custom deck, I'd obviously have an advantage if I draw the right cards. Obviously, with any deck, you can get unlucky and not draw the right cards. We're going to be able to block some of that damage, but not all of it. But we'll be able to gain some of it back. So we're up to 335. They're at 435 lives. Let's do, again, as much damage as possible, but it looks like they might have us. But, I mean, technically we did get a win. I don't like counting it, but that's the only dub we got in the video, so technically I won without it, but I'm not going to count it. I'm going to count this as a failed challenge. If you guys want to see me do a part 2 where I retest if I can do this and maybe get a win, then definitely let me know in the comments. But yeah, they got us there. So with that said, let me know if you guys have any other challenge ideas, whether that's for Battles 2 or Bloons Card Storm, and drop that down in the comments. Odds are I'll probably do it at some point, but that's all I have for today, so I will see you in the next video.